This is an SM Media production. Hi, and welcome to day two at Euro 2024 right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure, as always, to be your host. We're now into the real tournament stage with 3 games today. We've got a lot to cover. We've also got two beaten men from last night. As I say, we did obviously have a pod last night that went down very, very well, and I think it was a lot of therapy to people. So thanks for all the comments on that. But we have two very special guests tonight. Before we get into that, though, on behalf of everyone at SM Media, we just want to send our thoughts to everyone that has been affected with the two very sad passings today. Obviously, Kevin Campbell, formerly of Arsenal and Everton, very, very sad news. And also, we had really tragic news as well this morning. Millwall goalkeeper Matija Sarkic has sadly passed away at the age of 26. Very, very tough day for football. And we just want to pass our condolences, thoughts, and prayers to everyone that's been connected with these two very sad passings. On to kind of today's action at the Euros. It is a pleasure to welcome our two very special guests. First of all, it's always a pleasure when he's on, Scott Young.
Yeah, no, pleasure to be here. I'm glad I actually wasn't here last night because I think I should still be here speaking about the game. But no, happy to be here as always.
And a man who's probably been at a bit of a double blow the past couple of days. It's a pleasure to welcome back from our preview show, the Hungary-based journalist Kevin McCluskie.
Aye, hi Scott. Thanks for having me back on again after the last time. And yeah, I've been gutted these last 2 days. Tournament's not got off to a good start for me.
Scott, last night, obviously, I made it very clear at the start of the show that my view would probably change as the course of the day went on, because I think right after a game, as we'll probably tell tonight, I think you're still living in the moment. I think you're still living in your own anger if it's been a particular result like that. 24 hours on and watching the game back, Scott, nothing's changed for me. It was as bad as it was at the time. It's not getting any easier.
Nah, it's actually worse looking back at it now because there was points I was watching it thinking, points watching it thinking Germany are just better than us. I think watching it, I just thought it was a case of they are good and they're just a level above anything that we have. But watching it back, watching the highlights and listening to some analysts of the game, we actually made them look better than they were. I think at points like Tony Cruz, I think at 100% passing accuracy or
99%. He
99
missed, he
percent.
missed one pass out of
Yeah,
120, I think it was. Which is still all
yeah,
right, to be
but
fair. I mean, it's not terrible
yeah,
as it is.
it's pretty decent. Not bad. But yeah, I mean now thinking of people who read that as a boy's a top player, obviously, but how many times was he under pressure in that game? Like he got the ball and he was in so much space all the time. When you should have had McGregor, McGinn, or McTominay man marking him the full game because he's obviously their metronome in the middle of the park. But no, it's just need to pick ourselves back up for Wednesday.
Kevin, I think obviously the thing, like, kind of watching, and I like Scott, we did literally just after the game last night just come on a pod and talk about it, and we were pretty raw with emotions. And I have listened to a lot of analysts. I've listened to a lot of neutral analysts or people who maybe look at it from a different perspective. And there was Raphael Honigstein, obviously, as a German-based journalist, made a really, really good point. But he had said that there's a lot of people in Germany that think that Germany have come up against the worst team in the tournament. And I don't think that is a poor perspective to have, because I don't think, like, even tonight we saw with Albania, like, they go up against an Italian side who I thought really played very well in pockets. But Albania wouldn't have went out with that approach last night. Like, I don't really disagree with the statement that Scotland's tactical nous last night was absolutely atrocious.
Aye, I'd love to disagree with that statement, but you just can't. Um, like Scott was spot on there as well. Like Germany's obviously a team that's levels above Scotland, and I think when we did the preview to the tournament last week, it was it was a game that we thought we could get an absolute doing in if we didn't turn up, or if we did turn up, we could run them close. It was going to be one or the other, and unfortunately for us, it was the former because we were terrible. It was embarrassing last night to watch us play. Really, in fact, I don't think we did play. There's a point in the game. I think we didn't get a single shot on target in the whole game. Our goal is a deflection of a header back across goal. I'm not sure we had a single corner. We just posed no threat at all. There was no tactic really, apart from trying to sit deep and give their flair players time and space in the ball. And basic football tactics or knowledge tells you don't do that. You don't give Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala all the time in the world to run at you and Cruz time to dictate the play. So yeah, I'd love to argue the statement, but I think Honigstein might be right. Germany has come up against the worst team, and for them it's at the best time to get us because now that's got their tournament off to a flyer, and their confidence will be massive going into the second game. And I don't know, I can't remember if any of us tipped Germany as a favourite to win it, but they'll be up there now after that.
Yeah, I think Nina did, and I didn't know whether to take that or not, but I think Nina has been pretty spot on because everything he said about Germany's kind of reigned true after a game. But Scott, in terms of Switzerland, we'll get into Switzerland in a moment. We talk about the first game today. I mean, if I don't see the name Billy Gilmore on that's team sheet, then Steve Clarke has got to be questioned. Now, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt last night because I just think it was an overall shambolic display, and I think he has got 2 games to really get things back on track, but he has to learn from his own mistakes. And Billy Gilmore not being in that side that last night, I thought was a massive problem. As soon as the team came out, I said that last night. He has to play next game. Like, he's the one you would think he has to play. That's the no brainer. Like, has to be in there just for that control. And we see with Switzerland today, they're not bad in midfield either. So you need somebody in there who's going to retain the ball and give you a little bit of confidence in that area and have a bit of a, do you know what I mean? Be able to really go toe to toe with some really good ball carriers, which last night was non-existent.
Yeah, that's. I think I texted you that this morning. Like my issue with the game last night mainly was on the ball. We had no plan whatsoever. It was a case of get the ball, hit it to Adams, see what he can do, instead of try to play through them. But our midfield of McGregor, McTominay, McGinn, they're obviously all good players, but none of them have the composure on the ball as a Billy Gilmore. They don't break the lines like Billy Gilmore with his passing range. They don't have that way to break a press where you can run with the ball and break through the lines and try and get us up the park a bit. So on the ball we were horrendous because we just didn't have a plan. And Billy Gilmore on the ball is obviously our best midfielder. And hopefully he done it in the last Euros. He didn't play him against Czech Republic in the first game. And then he started him at Wembley in the second one and he was our best player. Hopefully he learns that mistake again and starts him in this game. Because Billy Gilmore now, obviously didn't play in that game. He came on, didn't really do much, but he was only 10, 15 minutes in the park. He's got a point to prove now because he realised he didn't play in that game. So maybe this could be the kick up the arse that he needs. Because let's be honest, for the last few games, Billy Gilmore for Scotland hasn't been what he was when he first came in at the team. So maybe dropping him for this game and dropping him for Germany, playing him against Switzerland could be kick up the arse that he needs. And dropping Cal McGregor is probably the best thing to do because people are going to say it's my club allegiances, which might be true, but I also think him and Anthony Alston, obviously Ryan Porteous are 3 players I've seen get the most stick on social media today and last night. The words out of depth have been used, overrated have been used. So maybe taking them out the limelight, Porteous won't play anyway. Maybe taking them out the limelight is the best thing to do for them, rather more than Billy Gilmore or the team in general.
Kevin, I think it's interesting, obviously, that Scott brings that up because we had said last night, Ralston, I don't think Ralston had a bad game. He's bad for the first goal. I think we can all see that. I think he is caught out, and I think he is maybe not even ball watching, but I just think he really doesn't see Wirtz's run. I think for the second game, I don't know what your thoughts are. having somebody like Forrest in there at that kind of right wing back position would maybe be a good option, because Forrest's pace is not what it was maybe 3-4 years ago, but it brings that level of experience that you might in that right wing back position where you've got a bit of cover in the defensive side. I don't think it would do any harm to have somebody like Forrest in there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent shout. To go with the Billy Gilmore one, last night the way we played, I don't think he'd have made any difference being in the team. And I think Gilmore's a great player as well. He's got huge potential, but we completely bypassed the midfield and nothing went through there. So
Yeah.
it'd have been a shame to see him in there because he would have been wasted. We just wouldn't have used his talents. I'd love to see him in against Switzerland because he is like Scott said, he's a baller as well. Like his passing range is great. He's for a wee guy, he gets stuck in about things as well. He doesn't shirk anything. So he might be the player that we need in that midfield. And my club allegiance goes the other way from Scott's, but probably McGregor is the one that needs to drop out, to be fair,
I
because I
just
think
think the narrow four. I said it last night. I just think if there's any
I think
midfielder in that four that doesn't suit a narrow four and doesn't have that cover, it's
yeah,
probably McGregor. And I think if you're playing a three, McGregor has to be in there. But I was having
yeah,
this discussion actually with somebody today. Actually, with two Bologna players really stood out to me today, and we'll get into that later on in the show. Ferguson has been raved about in Italy, right? Let's just say, for example, Ferguson was fit, and Ferguson wouldn't have started that game, and that to me, looking back, kind of speaks more to an issue of Steve Clarke, I think, and he was guilty of this at Kilmarnock as well, and at times it really worked out for him. He would stick with players too long, and
yeah,
that to me, that could be like if he doesn't learn from that for the Switzerland game, I think we could be in real trouble, because you have to make changes. He has to go. He's going to Christie's kind of somebody that I thought again was didn't really have much to do last night. It's not his fault, but he shouldn't be playing left of a midfield four. He just shouldn't. Like he's your
no,
number 10. Do you know what I mean? He's playing off the striker. That's what he should be doing. And I just think the next 3 days we're going to hear a lot out of the Scotland camp. I think the next 3 days there has to be a lot of video watching going on. I don't know what will have happened today, but there has to be just a real openness and what we're going to do. And we saw today, it's not an easy game, as we'll get into. Kevin, I'll come to you for the opening game of Saturday. Hungary 1, Switzerland 3. We'll start with the first half. Switzerland made a gamble, obviously putting on the young striker. Obviously, there was no Xherdan Shaqiri and no Zeki Amdouani. The boy Kwando Dua was a surprise starter, and first half, I thought Switzerland were very, very good, very stable, very aggressive. Whereas I thought Hungary, and you probably know this better than anyone, I thought were very erratic first half, and it was very uncharacteristic. How do you assess the first half?
yeah, probably that's pretty fair. I was out to watch that game. I went to one of the fan zones to watch it, so there was hundreds or I don't know, maybe 1,000 folk or whatever out in the sunshine, enjoying it, watching the game in the big screen. The build-up was amazing. Everybody was really up for the game, but within 5 minutes of kick-off, it had gone pretty flat
Mm-hmm.
because obviously the team just didn't perform. It was like was it like the rabbits in the headlights kind of thing? There was a few players that got stage fright big time. Kerkez, the left back, I think he sold the goal that was offside in the end, was it not, in the first half?
Yeah, he did.
But
Yeah, it's a boy for
aye,
Burnley, isn't it?
yeah, from Bournemouth,
Bournemouth,
Kerkez.
sorry, yeah.
Aye, yeah. But there was a few players like that. They just didn't turn up. Some of the big players, even Soboslai, couldn't get himself in the game. And Hungary were really, really poor for their standards. And I've been raving about them for the last week or
Do you know
two
what
to anyone
Soboslai?
that'll
Do you know what
listen.
Soboslai really reminded me of? Do you remember Bale in the World Cup in Qatar, where he just looked as if he was just so frustrated with what was going on around him, but he also looked a bit like knackered himself. And that's obviously the issue. We've got kind of a lot of games that have been played this season, but I thought Soboslai really just looked as if he was carrying a load in his back, and you could see it was getting to him. And whether it was frustration or maybe a niggle, I don't know. But you're right about Varga. That's a plus, at least Varga. a real story. I thought Hungary
Yeah,
came into it more in the second half though. Like they were able to get out of the park. I thought Galaxy really sold the second goal. Like I thought he should be doing a lot better for the goal.
yeah. He's a keeper that's got that kind of mistake in him,
Hmm.
which is a good thing for us coming into the final game. But he's always had that. He's always had an error in his game. He almost cost him qualification to the previous Euros because he sells the goal in the playoff against Iceland,
Hmm.
and then Soboslai actually saved him there. But yeah, he looked nervous again today going into this one. But I'm really happy that Varga got his goal because of all the players that have been talking up, he's the main man. He should have scored the header just before it, and he's got the second one. But he is that kind of striker that if he gets two chances, he will score at least one of them.
Hmm.
Um, so he'll be the big threat. And his comments after the game were basically, first half we knew that we were poor, deserved to be losing, but we'll take confidence from the second half that it was a 1-1 draw in the second 45, and that's the kind of level they'll need to take into Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll obviously kind of get further thoughts on Hungary in a moment. Scott, in regards to Switzerland, we know they're a good tournament side. You know what I mean? They're battle hardened in these types of tournaments. Few really exciting young talents. I thought the boy Ndoye was very, very good. I kind of fear him going up against any sort of right side in the next game. I thought Ibasher from Bologna, I thought was really good. I've been a big fan of him for a while. And Granit Xhaka, I mean, there's something. I mean, 18 months ago, you really thought he was done, but the difference in him this season, and I thought today as well, superb. In this Switzerland side, we spoke about dark horses. I really worry about Scotland next game because I think the Switzerland side are actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite looking forward to watching Hungary after Kevin put them up in the preview show. But I think the fact they got the goal in the first 5 minutes, the way it came about, the whole VAR thing, that just shows that semi-automated offsides are the way forward,
It's
I think.
really good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I've always been a big fan of it ever since I saw it Champions League 2 seasons ago or last season. I think it first came in. I've always been a fan of it, and it worked really well today. Getting the goal in the first 5 minutes, the young centre forward getting his goal is always going to lift the team because it seemed they all went round him, so it seemed they all liked him and wanted
Yeah.
him to get his goal, so that lifted them. And they were also showed the experience. Like you mentioned, Xhaka. Xhaka, I think he's only lost one game in his last 18 months or something like that playing football. His last league loss was when he was at Arsenal, and that was a year ago. And he's been one of Leverkusen's best players this season. So doing it the age he's at, I think he's what 32, 33, maybe even older than that. And he still looked I think his passing stats were up there with Tony Kroos last night.
Yeah.
He was given man of the match.
And
I remember some sort of
he's no like, I mean, Xhaka, I mean, it was a walking booking. Like you
that.
don't
Aye.
see now he's just had, there's a bit of stability there. And I think the back three helps, and Akanji coming out to help him out. Froyle looks a good player. Like, Kevin, Switzerland just look really solid. And again, they've got a few talents that are coming on, like Mbolo coming back in, like he's hardly played a minute. I think he's played something like 18 minutes of football in the past 18 months. Like he's played 18 minutes of international football since Qatar, and he still shows his class. I mean, to do it with ankle guard coming off as well. I mean, it was just a lot of talent there to do that. But I think that Switzerland side are quite a serious threat, particularly in the group, because I mean, I don't see them faltering in the second game. Actually, I think they'll be better second game because they're a bit. They'll have got the kind of cobwebs off. And if I'm Steve Clark, I'm quite panicking now about this.
Yeah, he has to be. I mean, after last night for us, we were shambolic, and then he's watching that game today, and he'll have been praying for a draw probably, and just two teams kind of cancelling each other out. But the Swiss were really good. They were really impressive. Is it Ibisher, like the boy that
I'd
set
be
the
sure,
first
yeah.
goal up? And
Yeah.
that's a stunning pass. The ball
Yeah.
through. I think it's a one touch to control out his feet and through. It's like something you do in the PlayStation, you know. And the boy's finish was top class as well. But yeah, Switzerland's always a good tournament team. When they get there, they're really difficult to beat. They controlled the first half of that game today. And they got the second goal at the perfect time as well, just before the break, because we were chatting away with a couple of the boys here, and it was just like, look, if we Hungary can keep it tight and take it in a half time at 1-0, they've got a chance in the second half. As soon as that goal went in, it killed the game. And we'll have our work cut out for us on Wednesday night. So to go back to that one, like you're saying, and look, and then talk about the Albania game later on, we need to look at Albania as an example and try and go toe to toe with the Swiss as much as we can. Change the shape, because you were saying before maybe about Clark being too loyal to some of the players. I think he's too loyal to the shape and the system that he's got as well. It doesn't fit the players. McGregor is the example, is a great centre midfielder in a three, doesn't work in a four. So so that's why I think Scott's right. You take him out and you bring Gilmore in, because that's what he's more used to. Get Forrest in there, get experience, get a wide player. Don't try and lump the ball up long to Shea Adams when he's going to get mauled by two big defenders. Um, Try and play a sensible game, and we might be able to give the Swiss a match. But yeah, they put a bit of the fear into you after the way they controlled that one today for the long spells.
Kevin, every tournament seems to have a kind of cult figure like Scalacci. Martin Adams seems to be the one that's already
Aye.
two days in, and we're already got that figure now. I've got to be honest, I had no idea who Martin Adam was, and I try my best to be as educated as possible with every squad. But I've got to be honest, Martin Adam coming on, and I probably felt the same as everyone. I was like, I've seen lighter people at amateur, but looking at his goal record, he certainly knows how to find the net. What can you tell us about Martin Adam?
Aye, he's a massive cult hero, this big Martin Adam. Uh, he's a guy that when you watch him play football, you're like, I've still got a chance. Doesn't matter how old you are, how overweight you are. You look at him and you're like, I could still make it. Aye, he was just a player that kind of kicked around for a while as well. He'd rock up at a club, score a few goals, and then disappear and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But he found a team a couple of years ago called Parks, which is the team that Varga then went to play. He replaced him at Parks.
Right.
And their coach at that time, George Bognar, just plays all out attacking football. So it's maybe 2 seasons ago or something. He top goal scored in the Hungarian NB1, 31 goals. Uh, Park scored something like 75 and conceded 67. The games were insane. Um, and yeah, he actually outscored the next two top goal scorers in the league. So 2 and 3 couldn't get close to him. He's just a big battering ram as centre forward. I'd love to say he's a throwback to the old days, but I don't even think they had someone like him in the old days. He's an absolutely unique player. But in this modern game where everybody wants silky flair players and your fleet-footed centre forwards, he comes on and he just causes chaos. He's a completely different option. Defenders don't know how to deal with him. And at his height, if he's running towards you or challenging you for the ball in the air, you don't want to be the defender that's in that challenge.
Yeah, I think it was obviously he clearly is the kind of the star of the Euro so far. On to the 5 o'clock game, Scott. Spain, Croatia, the youngest player ever to play in a European Championship. So obviously that record was broken for Lamine Yamal. We'll get into him in a minute. In terms of Spain, in terms of laying down a marker, I thought they were very, very good. First half, they were just, I mean, they kind of toyed with Croatia, to be honest. Croatia got into it a bit later on and probably unlucky not to get some form of consolation. But in terms of Spain's first half performance, I thought it was very, very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at them. You look at the Spain midfield of Pedri, Rodri, and Ruiz, and you probably look at Ruiz as the weakest link.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought today he was one of their best
player in the
players.
park, yeah.
I was what he was. He was always good at that. Was it Napoli? He was at
Yeah.
at Betis now, and I watched him at Napoli. Think that boy was going straight to the top, but he kind of floundered in a few injury issues. Ended up at Betis, doing okay there. But today I thought he was outstanding. And Morata gets a lot of stick because we watched him at Chelsea, and he was okay. He wasn't great at Chelsea, let's be honest, but he always turns up for Spain. He's one of these players. He's always turns up in the international tournament. He's always good for a goal. And the boy Pedri, what a ball! He took out like 3, 4 men for that ball for the first goal. And as soon as Mara's through goal, you know what's happening because he's got that sense of reliability about him. So I was really impressed with Spain. I was kind of disappointed with Croatia.
Yeah,
Thought Luka Modric. I was quite disappointed with Modric because I love Luka Modric, but today I thought he'd just get schooled by. I thought Roger had a good game. Obviously, I mentioned Rees and Pedri. I think he's kind of. I think he's kind of got schooled by the three of them. Really, he didn't have much help from his teammates. Where you kind of need, obviously Modric's still a top player, but at the age of that, he needs a bit of help running about him. And he
yeah.
just didn't really get that today. So no, I was really impressed with Spain, but also slightly disappointed with Croatia as well.
Kevin, obviously the kind of story coming into the game was Lamine Yamal, and again, I just thought you wouldn't tell that boy's 16, but I think Spain as a whole, and I think the balance is pretty good. They just look very, very comfortable. They played some really nice kind of stages at different points in the game. But overall, is this Spain side, can they be a challenger? Looking at them today, though, you would think probably kind of Scots right. I think Croatia were very disappointing, but in terms of Spain, I don't think they could have had a better start, to be honest.
Oh, I don't think you can write Spain out now after that. Croatia was one of the teams that we'd spoken about in the preview before has been a dark horse for the tournament, someone to watch out for. And Spain just brushed them aside. Uh, you're 3-0 up at half time against a side like Croatia. You're a good team if you can do that. They control the game for long spells, and I like the way that De La Fuente sets them up now because
Yeah,
they're not all possession based like they used to be. It's not this boring game of just pass, pass, pass. He'll go direct if he has to. He'll kill the game when he needs to, and he'll just go all out attack when he has to. And Croatia didn't have an answer for that today. I don't think they were expecting the start that the Spanish had. Um, they're a really strong squad. I mean, like that midfield that Scott's mentioned, it's just full of world class players, and from back to front, they've got guys that have won Champions Leagues, La Ligas, Premier Leagues in there. You know, there's born winners in there, and then you've got somebody like Lamine Yamal, who's right, 16-year-old, plays like he's 26 and been in that team for his entire career. So, yeah, I think this is a result that gives them massive confidence. I'm trying to remember, is it Italy they've got in the next
yeah,
game? I
play
can't
Italy
remember the way
next,
it
yeah.
goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, play next.
So, I mean, they've had to beat Croatia today going into that game because that's a tough one. They can now afford to draw against the Italians and they'd fancy their chances against Albania.
Yeah,
So it puts them in a really strong place.
yeah, absolutely. In terms of the third game, the quickest goal in European Championship history, 23 seconds, Nadim Barjami scoring for Albania. I had DeMarco to have an assist, which I'm hoping I get paid out on. But in terms of the start, Scott, Albania, I mean, couldn't have had a better start, to be honest. And I think Albania, like we'll get into Italy as well, but I think Albania, like compared to what we watched last night, Albania knew how to set up against a side that play good football and find attacking spaces. Do you know what I mean? Like Albania, I think tonight can leave with their head held very high because they didn't look out of it going in. They had chances in the second half. I think Albania. I'm not saying they're going to do much in the tournament, but in terms of kind of a bit of credibility, they can certainly say so.
Yeah, definitely. I think I will say first of all, I think there's two records broken for that first goal. The quickest goal in the history of the Euros and the worst throw-in in football
It
history.
was bad on it. What? Why? What did he do? What's he doing?
What was he thinking with that?
Yeah, like you're 20 seconds away, throw it down the line and see where you go for there. Don't throw it into your 18-yard box.
It's
But
pretty bad, isn't it?
I thought Albania. I was really impressed with Albania actually. I think I was watching them thinking, why couldn't we have done that? Was what was my thought of the full games. Why couldn't we have done that last night? But I thought they were the chances, as you said. I thought Barella's goal. We'll get into it, but what a finish!
Yeah.
Where that's a goal capable of winning any game. But I thought last minute they could have scored 1-on-1. They tried to dink the keeper, and it just went wide. So Albania can definitely leave their head held high. I will say it's slightly different comparing Albania to Scotland because I think Scotland had more pressure on them in terms of obviously I think Scottish fans probably care more about the tournament than Albania fans. So I think they get hometown pressure. Scotland had pressure about hometown, So the media was all behind them as well. I think Albania went into these games. Obviously, they had the group of death. Really, when you look at it, they're coming to this tournament with no pressure whatsoever, no expectation whatsoever. So that's probably why you look at comparing Albania to Scotland, why they played the way they did, and why we played the way we did. But yeah, I think Albania played well overall, but I think Italy showed their quality a lot. That kind of the second goal, no, sorry, the first goal was really well worked. I thought. I think a well worked shot corner kind of always looks great when it works.
Yeah.
And the second goal, as I said, was a great finish.
Yeah, the two goals are really well taken. Kevin, if we obviously with Nino on the other night, and he was not confident about this Italy side at all. And there's maybe a difference in terms of 3 years ago, where a lot of Italians really did fancy them, like they were really considered to be the kind of one of the sides to beat in the tournament. And tonight, you look at some of the passages of play I thought were terrific. I thought, in terms of like Chiesa, just to see him enjoying his football again after the turbulent time he's had since 2021. Like Scamacca looks a different player to what we saw at West Ham. I thought the boy Calaflori looked excellent. Like, there's a lot to like about this Italy side.
There is, yeah. And Spalletti, the coach, he's a talented coach. You know, the way
Yeah,
that he got Napoli playing last season to win that league title was something else. Uh, and tonight as well, like, yeah, it's the way that they were able to just to change formation at times as well. They're going three at the back, sometimes just two at the back. They've got six up front at some points, and there was a lot of fluidity there, players moving around. They were really, really good to watch, and that's not a typical Italian team because they should be kind of stir and 4-4-2, 4-3-3, something like that, and very rigid. This team looks really exciting. There's maybe not the same level of household names in this team as there was earlier on, and I think that's what Nina was saying the last time. That, you know, that there's not the same. Last time there was Chiellini and Bonucci at the
yeah,
back, and they were going all out for it. Now it's Jorginho and Barella in the midfield. It's probably the two, and yeah, to see somebody like Chiesa come back from his injuries and
yeah.
get back in that team and start playing again. I don't know how far they'll go. I'm not sure if they'll retain the title, but they were really impressive tonight. Like Albania gave them a proper game. They were bold and ambitious, but Italy matched everything. And to come back actually from losing a goal in the first minute, which is bound to knock your confidence, and then win the game fairly comfortably in the end as well, just shows it that they had the wee scare at the end, but for large spells they were really, really comfortable and looked good going forward. Scamacca, unsure about him, to be fair. He looks a good option up front, but I still think Italy lack proper centre forward. And if they had Adam Martin in their team, there we go. If they had him, then they'd go and do the whole thing.
Scott, you mentioned obviously Barella and Bastoni. I thought both goals were really well taken. Barella's goal, just an excellent finish. Like Spalletti did say, I did see a press conference he did yesterday where he said like Bastoni and Barella were two of the kind of main players in the side, and they had to be at their best for Italy to really kind of compete in this tournament. I thought Barella in particular, like you see, like why like Inter Milan, you saw what he was like at Inter. You can see why he's now the kind of top player on that Italian side. I thought he was terrific as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their team. Kevin mentioned it in terms of not a lot of the big names, but look, all the big names stepped up today. I thought Jorginho, you know what you get for Jorginho. Someone who's going to keep the play ticking along. You know what you get, and I thought he'd done that really well. Barella, obviously, you know, we saw the quality for that goal. We've seen it all season. Why he's been one of Inter's, if not Inter's best player this season. And obviously Bastoni at centre half, along with Barella, has been top for Inter Milan winning Scudetto very comfortably. So you look at obviously not the household names that they had in the past, but any sort of big names they have, they were able to look to them and they turned up. But also, I want to say about Italy, what I think Italy have got ahead of most teams, maybe apart from Germany, is I think they've got the best manager at the tournament. Look at the track record of Spalletti, obviously, Kevin mentioned it, walked the Scudetto with Napoli last season and played unbelievable football
Mm-hmm.
along the way. And he's taken this Italy team. I think if Italy are going to do something in this tournament, it will be because of Spalletti. And it's same with Germany in terms of Nagelsmann. Whereas if you look at other teams who maybe have a lot better players than Italy and Germany, I'm looking at Portugal and England. I think the managers could hold them back in terms of what the players they have is able to do compared to an Italy or a Germany.
Let's look into day three. We've obviously got another three games. It's really enjoyable when these three games a day. But we'll start at 2 o'clock. The opening match of Group D, Poland versus the Netherlands. Very interesting kind of setup here. Obviously, like reports are suggesting tonight that Lewandowski might be doubtful for Poland, which I think would be a massive problem in terms of the Dutch. Kevin, very similar to what Scott points out there. Like, I don't think Coleman knows his best side. I don't know what he's going to do. Like, probably the big conundrum is who plays it right back. Do you go with Dumfries? Do you go with Frimpong? It's a really interesting one. Like, I don't know how to call this game. I think the Dutch will do pretty well, but I take a lot in the likes of Reinders, Simons, Gakpo. I'm expecting their flair players to bring a lot, like maybe what we've seen in the past couple of days, like Italy and Germany. But I kind of think this could be quite a stuffy game for both sides, actually, especially if Lewandowski's not playing.
Yeah. Right, well, I'm actually going out to Poland during the week on Wednesday, so I'm hoping that they win and the place is rocking by the time I get out there.
Okay.
That would do me. But I have a feeling the Dutch will do it, and I was kind of won over by, I think it was actually Scott himself that mentioned that the last time with the strength and depth that the Dutch have got in defence, like there's some real quality players there. If Lewandowski's out, that's the biggest goal threat the Poland's got missing for
Yeah.
the team, which will be a massive blow to them. And the Dutch being strong at the back, they do have some flair players going forward as well. I'm wanting to see Xavi Simons and the likes Gakpo and seeing what they can do at this level. So I've got a feeling the Dutch will win it. I think it might be a tight game, but I think the Dutch will probably just edge it.
Scott, obviously, I've just literally seen there that there is something to say Lewandowski is definitely missing, which I think is an absolute carnage for Poland. But that kind of makes me think that although it's the first game, they are pretty solid at the back. They've got Bednarek, Kiwi All, they've got a real tight stability there at the back. And I don't know if this Dutch team will click into gear straight away. Something's making me think this could be a 0-0. If there's a 0-0 draw in the first 3 or 4 days, I think this is where it's going to be.
Yeah, I think if Poland are going to do anything, obviously with Lewandowski being it, it's Zielinski they look to.
Mm-hmm.
Zielinski, obviously, we know the quality he had. I mentioned him, mentioned Spalletti, obviously won the Scudetto with Napoli, and Zielinski was one of his
Yeah.
go-to players. Obviously, you just sort of headliners of Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen, but Zielinski was one of his go-to men when it came to that team. So if Poland are going to do anything without Lewandowski, it'll be Zielinski they look to. And I think Szczesny's going to have a big game as well. I think Szczesny, he's always been a top keeper. I think he was unfairly kicked out of Arsenal, especially when you look at they've not really had a keeper like him since. So you get Ray now, Ramsdale before that, but I don't think Leno was a downgrade on Szczesny before that. They had Amy Martinez, who didn't play for God knows why. So I think Szczesny's gonna have an important game because if you look at, I spoke about managers letting holding teams back, and Ronald Koeman will hold Netherlands back. But if Netherlands aren't going to do anything, it will be because of, as I mentioned in the previous show, the back line's got so much depth in it. Van Dijk, Ake, Van de Ven, De Vrij, De Vries, Frimpong. That's top players. But obviously, going forward, you've also got, as Kevin mentioned, Xavi Simons, who I think could go on to be one of the best players in the world. I think he's that good and got that much potential at this age. So this is going to be a real breakout tournament for him as well. And this is the game to do it because Poland are without their talisman up front.
Yeah, absolutely. On at 5 o'clock, Slovenia versus Denmark. Kevin, tough game to call. I think if Slovenia have to get anything out of this game, it's down to Jan Oblak and nets, and hopefully we see just how good Benjamin Sesko can be in this stage. Because if you're a Bundesliga fan like I am, you know that I absolutely adore Benjamin Sesko, and I think he can be a top talent. Denmark, don't think it's the same side of 3 years ago. I'm not sure. I'm again. I can see Slovenia getting something for this.
Yeah, the more I think about this game, that's probably right. And I tipped, or not tipped, I'd suggested Denmark as being a dark horse for the tournament just because everyone else had been saying someone had said someone else. I thought I'll come up with a unique answer. And then I looked at the squad again and I thought, oh, maybe that was a bit silly because they're obviously a good enough team that they've got to a major, to the finals. But when you look through them, they're a very average looking squad. I'm hoping for Denmark's sake that it's one of those cases where it's the better the sum of their parts kind of thing, where they gel together as a team. But yeah, individual wise, there's no one that really stands out. And actually, Sesko and Oblak were the two that I've got written down for Slovenia as being the star players. I mean, Oblak he's one of the best goalkeepers in the
Yeah.
world and has been consistently for the last 5, 6 seasons. And yeah, Benjamin Sesko seems to be one of the rising stars up front in European football. So there's definitely some talent there. I think it'll be a close game because probably Denmark will be fairly stuffy and they'll be difficult to break down. This might be your nil-nil game, or it might turn out to be one of the games of the tournament because sometimes you find that when it's two kind of unfancied teams, it's a game they'll both think they can win. And if they both go for it, then it could be a pretty entertaining game.
Yeah, it could be. I'm looking forward to this game as well. Scott, where do you see Slovenia and Denmark?
I think you're looking at probably Denmark purely because I think this will be Eriksen's last tournament, and I think Hoyland's got a point to prove after the sort of critics he's had this season. I mean, Slovenia, if you mentioned the two main players, Sesko and Oblak. Oblak, we all know what Oblak's like. He's not been as good as he was, let's say, 3, 4 years ago, but he's obviously still a top goalkeeper. And Sesko, as you mentioned him, he's been like everyone under the sun, but he's just signed. I don't know if he's signed, but he's close to signing a new deal with
Yeah, he's
Leipzig.
not. He's certainly staying at Leipzig. Yeah, there's been no.
Aye.
Yeah,
After he was linked with Arsenal, he was linked with Chelsea. I think he was linked with Man United as well. So to get him penned down is a great deal for Leipzig, and I think he'll be if Slovenia are going to do anything, it'll be because of him. But I'm edging more towards Denmark purely because of the experience they've got in their team as well.
on to 8 o'clock. Obviously, the tournament favourites. England get off against Serbia. Scott, I have to come to you because I've seen a leaked team sheet and they were talking about it on ITV literally before the show ended. It looks like your old buddy Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to be partnering Declan Rice in midfield. I know what your thoughts are going to be. I just want to hear it again because I think it's hilarious.
It's mental. Like I don't understand it.
Will
Like
they
Trent
get
is
will they
like
get away with it at this time though? Like
they
quarterfinals,
probably get away with it against Serbia, but
yeah,
but they can't get away with it if they
no,
play anyone good.
they will.
Like
I'm looking at Tchouameni, Rabiot, Griezmann, Kante, like that sort of. They will absolutely wipe the floor with Trent Alexander-Arnold if it
yeah,
gets to that stage.
football's a very simple game when you look at it. Trent is one of the best right backs in the world, so you play him at right back. It's not that hard to understand. I don't get this. I'll play him midfield, play in a box, do this inverted fullbacks, all this nonsense. He's a right back. Play him at right back, and he'll be good. Not that hard. And Kyle Walker, he's much better. Kyle Walker's been fine this season. He's not been great, not been as good as he has been. Like, I don't see why Walker is indispensable in this team. I don't see why he has to start, and so we need to fit Trent in around Walker when fit, when it should be Trent is the first name of your team sheet, and maybe find a way to get Kyle Walker in your team. I don't understand this Trent in midfield. I mean, I hope he does it because I think it'll fail and it'll be funny because it's England. But it's mental that people think that Trent is a midfielder when he's one of the best right backs in the world.
Kevin,
You blame
probably
you have to blame Pep and Joshua Kimmich for that one, I think.
that's
Because Pep
exactly
done
what
it
it
with
is.
him,
Yeah.
and now everybody thinks, oh, if I've got a fullback that can pass the ball, he's actually a centre midfielder. So no, if Southgate wants to play Alexander Arnold in centre midfield, go for it. because
it
he's
is not a good matchup. See, when you look at if Serbia are going to play Milinkovic, Savic, and Lukic, that's not a good matchup. Like, it's not.
Tadic is in there as well, aye.
Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
probably get away with it for this game, but I'm looking more into the kind of deep. If it goes with this deep into the tournament, I think it could be an absolute disaster. Like, it could be you mentioned about Southgate, the ones like, I mean, every other position looks fine apart from goalkeeper, as we know, as I've been vocal of in the past. But I mean, Kevin, I do really think in terms of looking at Serbia, I can see Serbia doing pretty well here. England don't start tournaments overly well. I mean, I think they've only won two. I think they've only won two. I think the last Euros was the first time they'd won their first game. They don't start Euros particularly well. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I'm going for 3 draws. I can see this being quite a shaky start for England. They'll click into gear, but I can see this being the hardest game they'll play in the group.
Yeah, I mean, I think England's got too many good players to not get out of the group.
Yeah,
So, like you say, they'll probably kick on as it goes on. They're definitely going to be favourites going into this game, and on paper they should win it. But like you say, they tend to start tournaments pretty slowly. They lost the last game against was it Iceland? And
yeah.
they weren't very impressive in that game. So they're not going into it on a high. Um, Serbia will go into this game with nothing to lose. They've got some really good players. I mean, Mitrovic might be playing in Saudi Arabia now, but he's still banging in the goals.
I think
They've got another young
30 and
forward.
29, 30 and 29, I think he scored in the league. He still does it,
Aye,
doesn't he?
I think
And
it's
yeah,
Vlasic is there as well.
43 and I think it's 43 and 46 in all
Is it?
comps or something like that.
right.
It's no bad, is it?
So there you go.
Ah,
I
it's
mean,
decent.
he's maybe not playing at the best level in the world anymore, but I mean, that record's impressive. There's other players that will go out there with big reputations and not score as many goals as he has.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be a massive threat. They've got another forward boy, Peter Ratkov. I think he's at
Yeah,
Leipzig now, and he's a real talent as well. So they've got a good mix actually between the youth and experience. They've got players that will be playing in the last big tournaments like Tadic, probably Milinkovic, Savic as well. So this is a massive game for them. Everybody wants to beat England, so they'll be right up for it. And let's hope so. Let's hope they cause a shock. I'm not going to hide a bias in that one. I would love to see Serbia win.
yeah, but we will get all the roundups to that tomorrow, where we will have the special guest Paolo Panini on, which will be interesting. Very big England fan, obviously the Panini sticker guy, as he's well known, but he will be on the show tomorrow night to recap the England game. And that has been a very exciting day too. It's nice to get the cobwebs off for the Scotland game. It's still pretty raw in the throat, as it will be until Wednesday. But to my 2 guests tonight, thank you very much for coming on. As always, Scott Young, it's a pleasure, mate. Thank you.
No worries. Always a pleasure to be here. Cheers for having us on.
That's a pleasure, mate. And to Kevin McCluskie, Kevin, sorry it's not been a great 2 days, but hopefully it changes over the course of the week. Thanks very much, mate.
Aye, nice one. Cheers, Scott. Hopefully it picks up over the next few days.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's hoping. Thank you very much, folks, and we'll see you all tomorrow.